Hey Photos photographers, we are here talking about composition today. So what we weren't talking about while we were shooting is the three major things in composition. Now, the words I use are not perhaps the words that the industry is going to use as a standard. Now, there are things that we will talk about. I call framing, what you'll hear a lot of other photographers call framing, is positioning, because that's really and truly what you need to be thinking about. I found is the practical thing. That's what my mind goes to. Where do I position the person that I'm shooting? If I'm doing a portrait shoot, where do I position them? Where do I stand? What is my position as a photographer? How am I creating this tension in the shot? What am I using to, and that's where they get the idea of framing. What is gonna, create the sides of my shot? What is going to draw the attention of my viewer and my subject when they look at their own photograph? What's going to draw the attention to the subject? More clear to the point is what's going to draw the viewer's attention to the part of my subject that I want them to look at. We don't want to be doing, for instance, a model or an actor shot when we want the attention of the person looking at their portfolio drawn to their chin or their shoulders. If we want them drawn to their nose and eyes area, which is the focal point of the emotion being drawn to that portrait, if that makes sense. You want to be sure you're driving all of the attention to the place, to the part of the face that is to be seen. Or if it's an expectant mother pregnancy shoot, okay? Then you're kind of wanting to draw the attention of the mother's face, the joy and the excitement she has, as well as what some people call the baby bump. Okay, so you want to have a good idea of where the attention is going. Create those leading lines in that frame of whatever is above, below, beside, in your frame of your shot, in your camera. What is drawing the attention to or away from the focus of your shoot? So that's position, and what a lot of people call framing. Now, there's another thing which people call position, but I call placement. Okay, so the placement is where you're putting that person in the frame of your shot. I'm going to give you a little bit of an instance here, an illustration in the video. I have just positioned myself on the side of this video frame. And with how the camera is looking at me, my face is now in the top half of the side of this shoot. But specifically, out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing my eyes about the top third and on the side third. Okay, so talking about position, that's where we can bring in, because a lot of people talk about framing as where the rule of thirds come in. And the rule of thirds is if you put two lines like a tic-tac-toe or hashtag blown up from full space, side to side, top to bottom of your screen, that now brings a third, say the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third, as well as the side third, the middle third, and the other side of third, if you're dividing your screen into those. But when you use the rule of thirds, you're not looking to place your subject fully in the side third. You're looking to place that subject along the lines that are creating the thirds of your screen. All of that is important in the aspect that when you look at the placement, you're not shoving your subject off to the side. There's some space over there, but there's not too much space. Like there's a lot of space over here, but that's an intentional empty space. The same idea comes in above your subject. You don't want a lot of dead space up there, but you want some space so it doesn't look like it's crowding the subject's head too much. I say some because right now there's very little space between me and the top of the frame, or my head right here in the video. The major aspect where the quote rule of thirds comes in for framing, what most people in the photography world call framing, that I call positioning, it's based off of a mathematical principle which a lot of people refer to as the golden ratio, and that's seen in a lot of creation around us. The seashells, the conch shells that you'll see kind of spiraling outward, and they just get bigger and bigger. I don't know all of the details behind it, but it's fascinating to me, and I keep studying more and more about it. It's supposedly based off of the mathematical calculation of pi, but it's also something that artists back hundreds of years ago knew and started putting into their images, and it's one of the things that keeps drawing us back to the classic works. Da Vinci is one of them. He was quite an amazing artist, but he also studied a lot of these mathematical and scientific principles that they were learning about, that we perhaps unintentionally use now. So all of the details and information involved in positioning, framing, and everything else that we use in a photography standpoint, a part of artistry, it's incredible how detailed it gets and what really we find pleasing, what we don't find pleasing, or everything else. So that's positioning, what others call framing. Now, we've got the placement we talked about, but that's part of framing, but I want to give you an understanding about how positioning will change the look and feel of your photograph, because that's slightly different than the placement. The placement is different than positioning. My mouth is freezing up. Positioning. So you can frame something up, but when you are in the place you are thinking about framing the shot, you can change where the subject is and where the frame is in connection to your camera view. Does that make sense? So you might have framed your subject, but if you change your position just a little bit, it'll change the placement of your subject in your camera. So you want to think about those two things, because it's not only about where your subject is versus where you are and what is around, it's how you also frame that in context of your final image. So the placement idea is, do you want to place the subject in the top right corner, the bottom left corner, along the bottom edge, or along the top edge of your frame? Where is that photograph going to be? One of the ideas I had in explaining this is, if there's motion conveyed through that photograph, does your subject have room to move where they are looking like they're going? The motion indicated in your still image, do they have room to go there? In other words, I am standing here off to the side, and my body direction says I'm moving this way. I now, with having positioned myself in a quote golden ratio position, my headspace is good, my space, there's not a lot of dead space over here, but there is some dead space. My position to go this way, I have a lot of room to go that direction. It looks like you could follow me, like I'm not in any danger of moving off the screen before the camera can pan and take another shot. That's part of what I'm talking about placement. You want to give the expectation of motion room to move so that it naturally creates a place or an imagination, a story that can be told in the mind of the viewer. And lastly, we are going to be talking about composition and how you can uniquely create the view or the context of the shot as well. That has to do with lighting. It has to do with what you add in the shot, what you don't allow in the shot. Are there things that you are, where you are placing your subject and where you'll stand that is in the way of the background or distracts that is in the foreground? Is there a way that you can avoid allowing those things in the shot? I hope this has been of value to you. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe, like this video, and throw any comments down below. Thank you so much for watching our composition video. And there's a whole lot more to go over here, so this may actually be one of many, but it's cold out here, and I want to make sure that I can go warm up, and y'all please stay warm and cozy in your homes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.